What is self-love, and what's the difference between self-love and just being lazy or slothful? How do we know that we're actually doing the right thing when we're taking time to take good care of ourselves? Hi, my name is Leah Chantel. Welcome back to my channel. And if you haven't watched some of my other content, you'll realize that I am a big supporter of self-love. But the complicated thing about self-love is that we don't really understand what it means or what self-compassion actually means. And that's where it gets tricky to kind of articulate. So the reason why it's tricky is because our guidance works in mysterious ways. So a habit that's a bad habit compared to something out of self-love could be something like an addictive habit. So if you are addictively drinking alcohol, or you're addictively smoking weed, or eating potato chips, or having hookups, or whatever the addictive behavior is, when it's coming compulsively, when you feel that need to do it, that's a good sign that you've fallen into a behavior that's not out of self-love. It is actually self-harm. Now, having said that, our guidance works in very mysterious ways, and sometimes we'll be raised a certain way or with a certain thought pattern that doing X, Y, Z is wrong. So let's say, for example, you're an athlete and you grew up in an athlete's family. You may think eating potato chips or too much chocolate is really wrong because that takes away your athletic ability, right? Whereas maybe you're having a really bad night, maybe your boyfriend has just broken up with you, and a box of chocolates, in the long run, maybe will help you feel better and will help stop you from going to stalk your ex-boyfriend or do something worse, right? And so sometimes the complicated thing about guidance is we will get guidance that tells us to do the less negative, the less harmful thing, which can often be something like drinking or eating, compared to doing something that might get us in trouble with the police, right? And that's where guidance can get really confusing, because we set up our rules in these paradigms of right and wrong. I'm supposed to eat vegetables. I'm not supposed to eat chocolate. I'm supposed to work 16 hours a day and never rest. I'm not supposed to stop and take a bath or be lazy or watch TV. I am supposed to be a good partner, and I'm never supposed to say no to whatever whims my partner wants. And regardless of whatever those sets of rules are, our guidance will sometimes break them. It will be that inner voice in our minds that says, hey, maybe you shouldn't do what your partner asked you to do because you are going to put yourself in harm's way somehow, right? And being raised the way that we are, especially as women, that voice can be really hard to hear because we want so badly to be in relationship with men sometimes that we are willing to do things that can actually compromise us or get us into trouble. So the interesting thing about self-love and guidance is that it's usually an unexpected piece of advice. That's a big signature of guidance, is that it's a surprise. And when we're doing something out of self-love, let's say we have been working 16-hour days on and off. I know I can get that way sometimes. When I hear a random thought in my mind that says, stop, just stop, and you're not meant to burn out today, go and take a shower, then I know that that's my guidance telling me to shake things up and take a break rather than continuing to pull through. Other times, I could be very tired and lying in bed and sleeping in, and then my guidance is telling me, get out of bed, look at these videos, start filming, start working, start writing, and that will also be guidance, although it appears to be giving me the opposite advice. It really depends on the situation, what your guidance and your inner wisdom will tell you what to do on a day-to-day basis. But if you follow it and you know how to tune into it correctly, it will guide you to the self-loving thing that you need to do that's right for you. And usually, I would say in a lot of situations, we often need to push ourselves to work a little bit harder to achieve the goals and the hopes and dreams that we want. Just because by human nature, we tend to get complacent and we tend to get into comfortable routines. And so we usually need to do something a little bit different in order to break out of that routine. But there are some exceptions. If you're a very hard worker like me, and you can keep going and going, sometimes that guidance will actually tell you to stop. And I've noticed this sometimes when I'm supervising exams over at the university. My instinct is usually to walk around and get a lot of exercise so I can burn more calories while I'm on those shifts. But having said that, once in a while my intuition will kind of interrupt my walking and say, hey, stop. You're not meant to become too exhausted in your job. You need to stop and pay attention to that student over there and make sure they're not cheating. And then I'll stop and I'll watch and see what's going on. I also want to talk about self-love can be a form of slowing down, but it can also be a form of speeding up, because you're tuning into your goals, dreams, and ambitions, and you're taking action to work towards them and achieve them. But sometimes if you're working, and that's your norm, you actually need to slow down so your health doesn't burn out. In fact, it's very important to have the discipline to work out while you're working towards your goals and dreams, because workouts allow you to relieve stress, they allow you to take care of your health, they remind you to drink enough water during the day. I am a big proponent of drinking water throughout your day and staying hydrated, but sometimes if I've forgotten, a really good workout in the evening will push me to get all of the water that I need because I'm sweating it out and I need it back into my body. So these tips are really good tips for self-love and self-care. Some of the biggest ones I would encourage people to do is to take time to slow down and have a bath and unplug from your phone and your electronic devices. That can be a really good mental break. Or you can do something different that also allows you a break from your electronic devices. Like going out in a hike in nature where there isn't much reception on your phone can be amazing if you know a safe natural area you can escape to and you feel comfortable and leave your phone in your purse. I would highly recommend that. Any experience also where you have that opportunity to indulge in your creativity. If you have a musical instrument and you practice playing it, that also allows you to tune into your inner wisdom and your inner self, and you'll hear a voice deep inside you that you don't normally hear when you're thinking your everyday thoughts about what tasks need to be done in your work or in your home life. So self-love can be a lot of things. It can show up in many different ways, and I think that's why it's a little bit complicated to explain. If you just say take a bath once a week, it could become a habit that's a bit of an indulgence rather than something that's productive or pushing you forward. Although that could be your guidance, and maybe that's what works for you. Your guidance can push you, your guidance can slow you down, and both can be forms of self-love. But whatever it is you're doing, your self-love habits and your self-love guidance should be pushing you towards a more positive experience, whether that experience is slowing down or it's working you faster and more efficiently towards your goals. I hope that all made sense and you enjoyed my talk about self-love versus laziness or indulgence. And don't forget to press like and leave a comment. Tell me what your self-love practice is. Maybe it's listening to music. Maybe it's arranging flowers, or maybe it's just going for a walk in your neighborhood. I'd be really curious to hear what everybody does in order to connect with themselves and hear their inner wisdom. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you want some more tips and tools on self-love, I've also got a self-love Facebook group that's free right now. And you can join and see my posts every day to find out what I'm doing for self-love. And it changes day to day. So you'll get a lot out of it, and you may pick up some practices that work for you too. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. Take care.